Joining me today is Taiia Smart Young. She is a book coach and writing consultant. So, we're going to be talking about enhancing your social media captions through storytelling. But before we get into it, I must give Taiia a moment to shine and you tell us more about yourself, anything you'd like us to know. And thank you so much for being here with me today. Take it away.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. I am Taiia Smart Young, book coach and writing consultant, as you said, and I have a background in publishing, magazine and digital publishing, which I then took and now parlayed into helping experts become authors and learning how to write their story, package their message, and tell a story that really encourages people to move to action, right? By learning how to take someone's mistake and their mess and now understand that it is a message, in fact. So that has become my passion. I've always been a storyteller, but in recent years, as people asked me, like, how do you do that? It looks so simple, but they want to know, like, what's the streamline process? Like, how can I become an author? How can I get this book from inside of my brain? And now it's out in the world. And to give you a little backstory, so I got my start in magazine publishing, and I cut my teeth in Essence magazine. I also worked for Latina magazine. I co-founded Juicy magazine with my soul friend Paula T. Renfro, and that was the first like celeb life hair and beauty publication. And I also worked for Double XL, a hip hop publication. And so I've spent a lot of time storytelling and figuring out how to put packages together. And so it just became this seamless fit for me in terms of being able to take all that knowledge that I had learned in other areas and to be able to take it now into book publishing.
You mentioned it's all about like storytelling, and I can tell you have quite the story to tell for yourself, for your journey. And one of the questions I love to ask my guests is what your journey was from employee to entrepreneur. Many of us, started off with a side hustle, or in my case, I was side hustle and then I was laid off, and it was the most beautiful thing. What's your story? What's your journey been like from employee to entrepreneur?
Well, we have something in common. I was also laid off. You were only laid off once. I was laid off 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
So 3 times, very stressful. First time, I was 27, I believe I was, when I was laid off. Had no clue of what to do, because what are we told? We're told to go to school, told to graduate, get a good job, get promoted, go up the ladder, do all the things, be famous, retire. Amen. Yeah, no, that's not what happened to me. So that was my first layoff. My second and third came in my 40s. I'm now in my 50s. And so by the time the 40s rolls around, you're a bit more prepared. You know how to pay attention to the handwriting on the wall. Like if budgets are being cut, departments are being phased out, you're really paying attention to what's going on inside of your company and in your industry overall. And I was positioning myself to make a move. And so I had started to get into writing for other publications, writing for books, that kind of thing, and also speaking as well. I used to get a lot of invitations to speak at graduations and to speak on panels and all that. And so what happened was that I was able to now use that to now be able to add it to my story. So that third and final layoff, I had said to myself, okay, what am I going to do with my skill set? Because I had tried to get another job. Like, I think that's the thing. You rush. You like, okay, let me just get another job. And so the jobs weren't coming as fast as I would have liked them to. I would get the interview. I would go to the third round, and I was not selected. And in the meantime, let me figure out what to do with my skill set. And so I self-published a book. I had a book deal fall through. A friend, we wrote this proposal for a book for teen girls. It didn't end up getting picked up. We were both pretty much devastated. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to figure out how to self-publish a book. And so I ended up not publishing the idea that we had worked on, but another idea that I had because of being on stages and doing these graduations and going to schools. I had girls come up to me and ask me like all these different questions. And so I was like, you know what? I want to take these questions and formulate a book based on the questions. And so there
Yes.
were questions about confidence. There were questions about getting your first job. There were questions about finding mentors. There were questions about staying like curious and how do you find your passion and all of those things. And so that's when I wrote my first book, Famous: How to Be the Star of Your Show, a teen girl's guide to embracing her fabulous self. Girls are fabulous. Sometimes we just forget. We need to be reminded, or we might have gaps in our knowledge. And so we need to really plug those holes in. So that's how Famous came about. And that's really how I ended up pivoting into self-publishing. I didn't think that that was going to be the path for me. I just thought, oh, I'm doing this kind of like one-off piece, and then I'll find another job. And so it ended up that once the book came out, people asked me like, how did you do that? Can you help me to do that? And I still, all of these questions, I still was not seeing that this was a path for me, that this was my purpose. Not realizing like, oh, you're a whole coach. you are coaching people. And it wasn't until I started to realize that, wait a minute, it's like this is my calling. Like I am supposed to be doing this.
And one thing that jumped out at me when you said you were getting these questions from these young girls, you were able to self-publish your first book, was the word confidence.
Yes.
And of course, confidence and our self-worth is tied up into so many facets of our lives. And of course, putting that into a story, putting that into a book, somebody's going to be reading your story. Somebody's going to be reading your words. And am I going to be confident enough to put that out there? And that's where having, a book coach's support would really help. So confidence, one of the things I hear, and I'm sure you hear all the time too, with creating content for captions, for social media, writing, for your whichever platform you might be on, is they don't quite have the confidence to put themselves out there. Or if they put themselves out there, they don't quite know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have learned through just being able to show up online is people really thoroughly enjoy storytelling. They really love being able to learn about the person that's in front of them, aka on their phone or on their screens right now. So how does someone figure out tying in their story into their captions to land in front of, let's say, their ideal client, or just to get people to learn more about them and do that confidently?
I think it always goes back to being authentic and being your best self. I think about my own posts, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think about, oh, you're gonna post that you're going live. It might get a couple looks, right? Couple likes. But I always feel like when you post a picture and you're telling a story, you're going to get the most response. So like when I post a throwback, but I tie the picture into that particular throwback photo and I'm explaining what happened. Like there was one time I had posted a photo of me in my 20s in my cubicle at Essence, and I had no idea that people were going to respond so much. I was talking about this was my first job. And even though I had this job, I was scared to still call myself a writer, right? I was an editorial assistant, but I was a writer, and I was in a place where I was surrounded by all these brilliant women who were writing stories and writing books. And I was scared to call myself a writer. And I talked about that in that particular caption. And I think what it did was it freed a lot of people to share their story of when they were scared in their first job, right? That first job can be everything to you, especially if it's in your career. Right. If it's in your career and this is like, oh, this is the moment that I've been waiting for. I graduated and I got this degree and I'm in this job and I'm doing the thing that I said I was going to do. And then you talk about all the fears that come up and you talk about not being confident. Right. I remember being 22 years old, surrounded by all these brilliant women and being scared to death. Right.
Yeah.
Intimidated, but I also remembered being nurtured. I remembered being asked for my opinion of something. And so it's like that helped me to build my confidence because I was able to now share in the conversation of women who were older than me, but they were asking me, well, what do you think about this? And how do you feel? And so that really was a big confidence boost for me when I was able to share my
My most
opinion.
engaged post, it was similar to you. It was a picture of me at my 9 to 5, and it was just about me being told that I wasn't going to get the recognition I deserve at my 9 to 5.
Mm,
And then just knowing that that would resonate with the audience, with a woman who is pouring into her corporate job and she's not getting the
mhm.
recognition, she's not getting the reward, and then she wants her own thing. So definitely being able to be authentic and to build the confidence to be authentic, that is what resonates most with people, at just being human about it.
Yeah.
So when someone is trying to figure out, because of course, yes, we understand the whole thing about content strategy and planning
Mhm.
out and having a
Right.
month's worth, 2 months worth of content, but someone just deciding or trying to build the confidence and navigate this online space and they want to be authentic. Is there like a formula? Are there certain things they do's or don'ts that they should keep in mind when they're writing their story to share it online?
Yeah, I think I'm going to share what I have learned, and I'm not
Okay.
a content coach, but I'm going to share what I have learned from other content
Yes,
coaches.
yes.
I think you always start with, what do you want this piece of content to do? So instead of us just rushing to post anything, think about what you want the content to do. Okay, so am I posting this picture, this carousel, this reel, this, am I going live for what reason? Is it to educate? Is it to persuade? Is it to get people to convert and buy something? Do I just really want them to know what I do? Am I introducing myself? So you have a couple different ways to look at your content and decide what you want that piece to do. Like, for instance, this entire week I have been going live at 12:30 p.m. I created what I call Unmatched Week. So I have
Okay.
this piece of content, which is a free playbook, which is Unmatched: 5 strategies for experts to elevate their book's visibility in a saturated niche. I created that piece of content. And then I said, okay, what am I going to do with it? How am I going to introduce it to people other than just doing a single post like, hey, this thing is here, come get it,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And pinning it to my Instagram, or adding it to LinkedIn. I said, I want to create an entire week dedicated to talking through additional strategies, not just the strategies that are in the book. Like, those are in the playbook, those are 5 bonus strategies, but I give you a different strategy every week, every day of the week. So today, for example, it was, let's lean into peer pressure. How do we lean into peer pressure to create visibility? So that piece of content, that live, was okay. It's for Unmatched Week. It's to build brand awareness. I want people to know that I'm a book coach. I exist. I'm here. Here's a gift for you. Here's the playbook, right? You can come and get it. And by the way, guess what? There's a bonus, because on Saturday, if we want to come off of Instagram, now we can go onto Zoom for a private session, a private hot seat session. So now you can ask questions. So when I was creating the content around that, I was very strategic and thinking through what I wanted it to do. You're already on my email list. So, okay, so you're going to get a series of emails that are leading up to this Unmatched Week. And then you're going to get reminders of, I'm going live at 12:30. Join me at 12:30. So just think about, am I trying to persuade someone with this piece of content, right? Even when you're thinking about your reels. And I think the thing is that we want to just have it happen overnight, and it really
Right.
doesn't.
Right.
You have to build. You can't just think, oh, I did it for 2 days straight and go away somewhere and say it doesn't work. That's
Mm.
not how it works. Like, my coaches will push me and say, okay, well, did you try it for 30 days? Did you try it for 60 days? Did you try it for 90 days? Then if I haven't tried it, they don't want to hear from me. So the same thing, right? So 90
Yeah.
days may be like too much for you to even think about right now. but just say, okay, I'm going to try this for 30 days, or I'm going to try for 15 days. And maybe you're not posting every day, you're posting every other day, but you're getting
Right.
into the habit of sharing your story and you're thinking through what the different pieces are. I'm going to be honest. I am not one of those people that can batch 30 days worth of content. I
Okay.
wish I was that person. I really do, because it would make my life so much easier. But I found that through AI, whatever tool you use, there's a specific prompt that you can give, and it'll now come up with a grid for you. So, and you can tell it, I want 30 days worth of content on this. You can
Mhm.
put in the pain points, you can put in the goals, whatever it is that you put in. Now you'll get a table that's created for you, and you can use that as your guidepost, so that you're not starting from scratch every day. Because that'll drive you crazy, because you're like, okay, I've lost an hour trying to think of what to post. So if
Yeah.
you can't do 30 days worth of content, at least do 7 days, right? Choose one day, maybe it's your Saturday, and you're going to get all your pieces of content together. And maybe you're just starting with the caption. Okay, am I going to go? Is this a photo? Is this going to be live? Is this going to be an IG live, or a LinkedIn live? Is this going to be a carousel? Like, what is it that you want to think through? That's at its most basic form. And I would approach it if you're completely intimidated and you need to just start. Get out of your
Right.
head and start.
And start. Be authentic and also be intentional with
Absolutely.
what you're putting out there. And I think that's where people get caught up. But I know you said you're not a content coach, you are a book coach. It's like a similar approach to
Mhm.
how people put out their content. And when you are helping someone to, put their words into writing to create this book, and kind of getting it from, out of their head and then onto paper. It's almost like the same kind of methodology, if you will. It's your words, and people seeing your words, and your words resonating with them. So
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to ask you, is, as a book coach, because writing a book is something I have most definitely entertained the thought. I'm like, I can write a book. What would I write the book about, right? So somebody who's like, I could write a caption. What would I write the caption about? It's kind of the similar. So how does someone go through the journey of, like, I could write a book, but what would the book be about? To getting those words out on paper, formulating them into paragraphs, into chapters, to be able to tell the story, to go from, because that's where I am right now. I'm like, what the heck would my book be about? But I know I have a book in me,
Mhm.
right? So how do you get it out of them?
So the first thing is, we have what I call a creative clarity call, because your idea just needs to be shaped. And even if you're at the place of, I don't know what my idea is, we start talking about your expertise. We start talking about your passion. We start talking about what you do. Because I always like to make sure that it's connected. This is part of building your author brand and building your platform. So I don't want you to come to me and be like, I want to do a revenge book because I hate my ex. Like, no, we're not doing that. I'm not the girl for that. Okay. What's your expertise? Are you a money coach? Are you a content strategist? Are you an entrepreneur? Like, what is your expertise? And let's talk through that, and let's talk through maybe some of your experiences. So, perfect example of one way that we do that is by looking at my framework, and it's called the STEP method, actually. So each letter stands for something. So the first thing in the method is S, which is, okay, we're gonna select key stories. And I think that's really the place to start. Like, I'll have you brainstorm a bunch of different stories. Just write down things that have happened to you. Maybe it could be like, I got this award for speaking when I was in the 5th grade. And you might not even realize, like, wow, I'm a podcaster. So I've been speaking all my life, right? I'm always on panels. I'm always invited to summits. And so maybe you want to write a book about being a speaker, or how to get into the speaking industry. You're not going to include every single story. Like, if you brainstorm 20, 30, 40, all of those stories are not going to go into your book. They're not all book worthy. But we're going to now start to narrow those things down and see where we can connect some of the stories. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is the T. We're going to talk to what I call your most valuable reader, your MVR. You know what an MVP is? You talk to your MVR. I call it your MVR because this person is going to follow you wherever you go. So they're going to buy your book. They're going to listen to your podcast. Oh, you're in my city speaking on a panel. I want to go to that panel. Oh, you have a workshop. Oh, I want to do your workshop. You have a retreat in Bali. I want to go to your retreat. That's why they're your most valuable reader. They're with you through the life of all of your products. They are beyond just a follower or a fan. They are part of your community. So the E is to embrace your expertise. And I also want you to just shine in your zone of brilliance, right? Like what is it that you really do well? But first of all, a lot of us don't even want to embrace the fact that we are experts. We're scared. We're like, oh, well, my degree is in history and, now I'm a money coach. But okay, so what? So you've been helping people transform their money story. You've been helping them save. You've been helping them send kids to college without student loans. Like, you have a story. So embrace your expertise. Stop looking for ways to downplay what you do, and let's celebrate what you do and find a way to amplify it. So that's the E. We want to embrace our expert status. And the last letter is the P. We want to prepare for visibility. So moments like this, being on a podcast, being on a panel, being on a stage, how do we prepare ourselves for visibility? Everyone's not going to want to do the same thing. The idea of some people doing a keynote is going to terrify them. So I would never push that on someone who's not ready. But a podcast, but a panel, maybe a fireside chat, maybe we're just starting with going live, because this is your tool, and look at social media as a tool that you can use to amplify your message. Okay, we're going to start with going live. We're going to start with maybe you going live with somebody else. Maybe you don't want to go live on your platform just yet. Maybe you're going to collaborate with someone else. They're going to interview you and get warmed up. But you have to prepare for visibility. You have to prepare for someone to get your message and say, you know what? That person is a scholarship coach. I got 3 kids in here. I need to send them to college for free. I need to get with this person. They have the message. Their message is, oh, I went to school for free. I got $5 million in scholarships handed to me. Oh, really? How do you resist that person? You can't, because they have what you need. And so really, that is my goal, to turn our authors who are already experts, but turning them into authors who are comfortable sharing their story. They're comfortable selecting those key stories. They're comfortable talking to their most valuable reader. They're comfortable saying that they are experts, and they're comfortable being prepared for visibility.
I'm also picturing this also being applied to someone creating their content or coming up with their pieces. So it's a nice way to kind of tie the two together, and whoever is tuned into this episode still being able to take away from it what they need to be able to tell their story and at the end prepare for the visibility. Okay, question for you. What do you, Miss Book Coach, what do you have coming up? What are you working on? What should people be looking out for from Taiia Smart Young?
Yes. Well, I am getting ready for my Step Into Your Story. It is a intensive. It's a 3-week intensive, and it's really to introduce you to the book writing process. It is 3 weekends. It's 2 hours. And in my workshops and in my intensive, the emphasis is on work. We ideate and we implement, because I feel like it's nothing if you don't implement. So the Step Into Your Story intensive is coming up. And then after that, ideally, people who take the intensive are now ready to work on their first draft. So I have a 3-month container where all we're doing is focusing on writing. So you're getting writing time, you're getting accountability, you're getting coaching, and that is the emphasis. There is to produce your first draft in 90 days. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect and publishable. What I'm saying is that you're not going to let anything distract you in those 90 days, and you're going to get that first draft done. But it all starts with the intensive, because I feel like people sometimes need a little bit of, they got to get the pinky toe in the water and okay, well, let me just see how it goes. And then the next step is for them to do the 3-month container. So that is the big thing that's coming up next.
Okay. And everything, of course, will be linked in the description. Anyone that wants to check it out and learn more. This has been really, really lovely. But I'm not quite ready to let you go yet.
Okay, good. I'm not
Do
ready to
you
go yet.
do you have a nugget to share with the audience today?
Yes, I absolutely have a nugget. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take it right from my book because I said that I don't trust my memories. So one of the activities that I have a lot of my clients do is to reframe. And so the nugget that I want to leave with the audience is to, instead of focusing on the fear, I want you to focus on the reframe. I want you to reframe that thinking so that you can move forward. So there's an example in the book that says, I'm not an MD. Who am I to write a book about diabetes awareness and prevention? The reframe is, for the past 15 years, I've worked in community-based health centers administering care to Black and Brown people. You see how that reframe focuses on the things that that person has accomplished. So there's nothing that you can tell me that after 15 years of servicing Black and Brown people that you don't have the knowledge to tell me
Yeah.
that you can help them with diabetes prevention. And so that's my nugget for you, to, instead of focusing on the fear, focus on the reframe.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I love that. A beautiful way to wrap up our conversation this episode. Taiia, thank you so much. And beautiful name. You probably get that all the time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, may I share one thing before I go?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I have a freebie for your audience. And so I was
Okay.
talking about Unmatched Week. So I want to make sure that if they would like to get it, that they absolutely can. So all they have to do is go to my website. And I know you'll link it in the notes, but
Yes.
I'm going to
Yes.
say my website. It is my name, TaiiaSmartYoung.com. So TaiiaSmart young.com/unmatched. And so when you go there, you'll be able to put in your email address and you will automatically get the Unmatched playbook with the 5 strategies.
Okay, perfect. And as you said, it will be absolutely be linked so that the everyone who's interested can check it out.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing that freebie with the audience, and thank you for
You,
bringing
CJ.
value. And it was great. It was great. We were able to tie the two together so people can really envision how they're going to be able to show up online. Or who knows? Reach out to you to write their book, get the book started. Um, for now, I will let you go now. But I know we'll stay connected and looking forward to
Absolutely.
being able to do something with you again in the near future.
Thank you so much, CJ. I appreciate you.